Xbox on.
Game on, baby! Wow!
Don't make a girl a promise you can't keep.
Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the Party Chat podcast, the official podcast of the Xbox One subreddit. I am your host, Ross Miller, and I'm joined by everyone's favourite uncle. It's Clay Parker.
Woo, woo. What's going on, guys?
And I've got nothing witty, so it's Rhys.
It's me. Hi, guys. I'm back.
Back from vacation or holiday, as some folks might say, that are outside of the United States, which is unfortunate for all of y'all.
I was on holiday in. I went to China for 2 weeks. China and Hong Kong. They're different, and yeah, it was great. I had a good time. But it's good to be back.
You were having sandwiches on the Great Wall of China.
Yes, I was posting all of my holiday pictures all over the internet, and I had sandwiches on the Great Wall of China.
I also noticed it was Clay and myself were the only people liking your pictures, so...
You're the only friends I pretend to have anyway. I don't even know you guys, so it's fine.
Well, anyway, this is a podcast all about Xbox One, so let's find out what you've been playing this week. And we're going to start with the returning man himself, Rhys.
Well, yeah, I haven't actually had that much time because, you come back from holiday, everything's on fire, and you have to get back to work. But I have been doing my best to play video games with my girlfriend. We've been playing Battleborn in split screen and been having an absolute blast. The game it's like first-person Smite meets Borderlands. It's funny, it looks nice, and it's just really, really, really fun. And as anyone who listens to this podcast knows, I love split screen, and it just pushes all the buttons. It's great fun.
That's great.
Superb. That actually sold that a bit to me. I did not know there was split screen.
It's not just split screen. It's split screen across all modes. You can play the campaign, and you can also play like all the other like regular adversal MOBA style modes, and you can play split screen against other people online.
Nice. That's a great thing. That is a great thing. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, Gearbox is one of the few developers who still cares about split screen. I think also the Coalition still love it.
I was going to say, it seems
definitely.
like it's a dying, not a dying, I don't want to say it's a dying thing, but it's for some reason just not that supported anymore. I think we talked about it a handful of weeks ago.
Many times.
Yeah. Well, Clay, what you've been playing?
Hey, man, no surprise, I think, to anybody that's been listening. I've been playing some more Rainbow Six Siege.
Rainbow Six? Yeah.
Move on.
No, but I have been playing some other games. There is a big update that just came to Siege, and it has an update to one of my favorite operators, which I'm struggling to remember the name of. Kaplan. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The guy that has the tripwire. That he's now actually useful. You can put the thing at any point, and they removed the little indicator that you see on the other side, so it's much easier to get some kills with that guy. But outside of Siege, I have been playing a whole lot of Goat Simulator with my son, who is head over heels in love with the game. I'm not at the point where I'm letting him play, and I'm thinking I'm at the point that I should actually let him try out some of the games. I'm a bit of a controller hog on that end. And then Rhys, Rhys, I actually downloaded and tried the Doom demo that they put out. I think that was last week. And man, you were talking about how great that game was. I saw a bunch of videos. I saw that it was going to be pretty cool. It is so smooth, that game.
Yeah,
it's
buttery smooth. You can't,
it really is.
You can't really describe it until you play it. Just how good it feels.
Oh my! It really plays great. Oh,
it's like a good driving game. It's like the way it feels is like makes all the difference.
Doom, the Forza Horizon of shooters.
We can quote you on that one.
That's right.
But what's the kangaroos?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Ross,
if
how about
anyone-
you,
you,
man?
Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone cares what I've been playing, I immediately, after the E3 conferences, went and downloaded the new Trials game.
Nice.
I love Trials.
Me too.
And this has got a great added element that you can actually get off your bike and go and shoot things. Or you can shoot them whilst on your bike as well.
Wait, what?
What?
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I actually know quite a few guys on the Trials team, and when I was at that Games First conference, they had a really cool, like a really cool, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a part when they were on the stage. Sorry, English is failing me, and they described in detail the really awesome Easter egg that they had for the first Trials game. Did you guys ever read about that?
No, not at all. What was it?
You've never read about the Trials Easter egg.
Is
I'm
this the tennis?
I'm not going to spoil this for you. Go and
I know if you land on a tennis court, you can sort of play tennis.
no. Go and look up just Google the Trials Easter egg. It is the greatest Easter egg in the history of Easter eggs. There is nothing that comes even close to this. And if anyone missed it, seriously, Google that right now, and you will just be amazed at what you see.
I'm tempted to pause this recording right now.
Clay, we're doing a podcast.
Don't worry, I'll just look at it while you guys are talking and half pay attention. That's what I normally do.
Well, anyway, let's find out what's been happening in the subreddit this week.
You're listening to Xbox One Party Chat Podcast. This week in the subreddit.
I'm going to jump in first. I just quickly mention that we have a Bard's Gold AMA on the sub from the developer. He sort of popped in and asked if he could do an AMA. We were like, yeah, go for it, man. And he did that. And we also put out a crawl for help. I need Batman. I need all the Batmans all the time. We need backup on the wiki team. So if anyone is interested in joining the wiki team, please send me a PM on the subreddit, delicious_cheese, and tell me why you are the Batman that I need.
Super.
Awesome.
So, guys, E3 was last week. We had our interview with Rare. We didn't really talk about what our favourite things were. So now we have that chance. So no one really got anything right in the E3 predictions.
Nobody. It was complete bust.
I was going to say, did
Yeah.
anybody get anything right on that? I'll have to go back and check that.
I'm embarrassed to check it, to be honest with you.
That just means it was a good E3.
That's right.
Yeah.
Expectations were blown.
Even with all of the leaks that were occurring, even weeks before E3, it was surprising.
You guys want to know something really funny? I suppose I can tell you this, that the specs for the Scorpio leaked down to us on the mod team months ago. And when we heard the leak, we laughed. We thought it was utter crap. We're like, yeah, this is going to be the most ridiculous Mr. X Media style hidden GPU kind of thing ever. And when the specs dropped, all of the mods were like, "Oh my god!" Like Jontron style, like what? No. So, leaker dude, I am so sorry for all those horrible things I said about you that when you weren't around and you have no idea I said them about you, but I said very mean things about you.
Okay. So I suppose that's a good place to start at the end of the conference. The Scorpio announcement. So what is everyone's thoughts about Scorpio?
Yeah, I'll jump right in. I'm very excited that they came right out and made the statement about it. That they basically announced that it's, hey, you've been hearing the rumors and they're true. We're working on it, and here's a little bit of details around it. it sounds like there was a bit of confusion around that messaging from about the 50 million postings that were made on the subreddit and on Twitter of everything I was reading.
We'll talk about that one later.
Oh, my goodness. But, I'm honestly very excited. You know, this kind of reminds me of... I think it was the 360. When the 360 was first announced, it was going to have, it had the HDMI port. I think it had HDMI port. Maybe it didn't have an HDMI port, but it was all about supporting HD games. And at that time, that was something still, it was new technology-wise. Flat screen TVs hadn't been out all that long, and now they're talking about, hey, well, we're going to get into 4K gaming support, and that's, again, one of the new technology points, and it's going to be a big supporter of VR gaming, which is, I think, all anybody has really been talking about over the past handful of weeks, at least on my end. Everything I see is related, it seems, to VR and what games you're going to be able to play in VR and who's developing against it, so... Yeah, I'm very, very excited about this.
Are you going to buy one?
Yes. There's. I mean, I'm already planning on buying the new slimmed down Xbox One on a diet. But I will probably end up picking up the Scorpio as well. I'm a big tech junkie, so I'm not going to pass it up.
My heart says yes. My wallet says mercy, please.
Actually, my wallet's going to say, let's wait till we find out how much it costs first.
It's like a Steam sale all over again.
Oh. Talking of which, it's the summer. It's almost the Xbox summer sale, isn't it? That's
I think
a good
so,
point. Yeah. Right, well, for me, Scorpio, it's going to have to be day one, isn't it? But the only person that's going to benefit is my son, because he'll probably get my Xbox. Because by that point, I'll probably have an S.
Yeah.
So he'll be the major person that benefits out of the Scorpio more than anyone. But yeah, like that power, you can just imagine the stuff that's going to happen on it, and supporting VR. Oh, I can't not wait to get my hands on this.
Can I just say, I don't like VR.
Oh,
I know, right? I don't want to be the wet blanket, but I don't like it. I get simulation sickness hardcore whenever I use virtual reality. I don't get motion sick, just simulator sick from VR. And I think that VR doesn't really, like... I think it's just so unnecessary. It sort of goes against everything that I use video games for. Like, I prefer video gaming in a social, like an actual social, not like an online social, but an actual social environment. That's why I own a Wii and I buy all the party games and stuff like that. So yeah. I'm not actually excited about VR, but I'm not gonna tell someone else they can't be excited, because the fact that there's all the cool stuff all the time, like. We need all the accessories.
Yeah. Do you want to know something? VR managed to get me over quite a large fear.
What fear is that?
Of the alien, the xenomorph.
What?
Right. When I was a young teenager in Glasgow, there was a thing called Alien War, where literally they recreated the ship, and you get sent off in groups into the ship, and the alien, it's all set pieces, but the alien would pluck people off one by one like plants.
It sounds like the best thing ever.
Google it. It was brilliant. It went to the Trocadero in London as well, and it was fantastic. Being a sort of young teenager, it scared the absolute wits out of me. Okay, you know what I mean? I never.
You got like legit PTSD from like in a theme park, right?
Yeah. And the thing is I hadn't really seen the movies at that point. I was going along with someone else, so. Like anything else, if you go and see something and it scares you, you want to find out the way to beat it. So I literally became obsessed with aliens. All the movies, reading as much as I can about it, everything else. And when I heard about Alien Isolation, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this.
Oh, such a good game.
Yeah, well, my first experience of VR was Alien Isolation.
You went all in.
Yeah.
I went for it, and I'm not going to lie, I was scared out my absolute wits. But the first moment it killed me, totally gone.
You knew it was just a game then?
Yeah, something clicked in my brain to say why physically can't be hurt by this.
Okay.
And it totally changed my mindset. So VR has been great for me. It could have went the other way and really scarred me for life. But
it could have, yeah. You definitely were walking the line. The Alien Isolation is pretty cool because like it had that it could like listen to you and track you with the Kinect. And I was like testing it out with that enabled, and I was hiding in a closet. And
like that you do for 70% of the game.
Yeah. And I was like, you know how you can like lean. I was like leaning forward in my seat, and the Kinect could see that I was leaning forward, and it made my character lean forward. It was really cool. And then the alien popped up from below and like looked at the grate, and I. Like normally in the game, this happens sometimes. If you remain still or lean back when into the closet, the alien might decide that you're not there and leave, or it might open the door and eat your face. But the thing is, when it popped up, it scared me, and I gasped and I jerked my head back a bit, and of course, my character mimicked that head jerk in a violent backwards manner, and it heard me gasp, and the alien saw me jerk my head and gasp, tore open the door and ate my face. And it was really cool, sort of like it broke the third wall, but it was also completing made the immersion even further. It was great.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about immersion. It's how much do you want to be immersed in the game, and I think that's what VR brings to it.
But what about the games from E3? Let's stop talking about Scorpio for a minute. What games did you guys
Gears 4.
like? Okay, fine. Why did I even ask?
So Ross,
yeah.
What did you think about those weather effects that they showed?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That wind.
Yeah.
So the planet is properly being destructed from all the years of mining and everything else that happened and the wars that took place. You can actually physically see it in the weather now, which is such a nice touch. It's such a nice touch, that they really went back to, like, what the effect has been. And then that ending sequence, just when you seen...
Right.
Old man.
Is it a spoiler, if I say?
You can say it.
You can say it. Everybody's listening to
you
this.
see my main man, and it wasn't, I don't mean the Coltrane, Marcus Phoenix as a grandpa.
I can't wait to see Old Man Coltrane. That'll be amazing.
Coltrane's president by now.
Yeah.
Baby. But like, I literally had hair, the hairs on the back of my neck, everything was standing up with just excitement. I can't wait to get my hands on it 3 days early with the Docs edition.
That's great.
But yeah, like everything looked great. The weather, as you said, the way that the weather can affect the environment, the new gun that they introduced or they showed off, it's just everything that a Gears fan, I think, really wants.
Right.
And it looks amazing. The guys over there, the way that they do the backgrounds and they do all the stuff and environment, it just looks amazing.
Well, I
could talk about it for hours.
Ross, one big thing that I got from it was it, quieted all of these people that played the the multiplayer beta and said that it did not look very well. It didn't look like Gears, I wanted to say. The gameplay that they showed from the conference, I think, completely put a stop to all of that. It was like, hey, this is a beta. We're just testing it out. This is a true beta. We're testing out all the different bits and pieces here. This isn't a true representation of what the final product is going to be, and I think we got a better picture of that.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm not the best at multiplayer at Gears. I love Horde mode. I'm not the best at competitive multiplayer.
That's great.
Yeah, I just Horde mode and single player is what I play Gears for. And I'll replay that campaign, multiple times. So this is what I was really looking forward to seeing was this. So
Did you like any of the other games though?
well, I mentioned it earlier on, but I love the Forza Horizon games.
Me too.
Straya. So, yeah, just that game. It just looks so beautiful. You could just have fun driving around Australia with it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know what there's a lot to say. It's cars driving around, but
Yeah,
they do it
kangaroos, Straya. That's about it.
lots of off-road stuff.
Drop bears. I'm
Driving
just
through
going
the
to
bush.
shout out to Carlos, by the way, one of our wiki editors. He is an absolute Forza nutbag, so I know that this is making him happy. Hi, Carlos.
But also, the last one I just want to go into detail of is Sea of Thieves. Because that game is so much up my street. I can just imagine. Clay has played some games with me, or one particular, and he can see how much I mess about in games and how much I can annoy people.
Okay, so anybody who is interested in Sea of Thieves and cannot wait until February to sort of get their hands on that kind of gameplay needs to download an indie game on the PC. It's called Guns of Icarus Online. And it's basically the exact same concept as Sea of Thieves, but it's in a steampunk setting, and you fly airships rather than sail boats.
Cool.
And that's about as close to Sea of Thieves as you can get. You can't actually get out of the ship and run around like you can in Sea of Thieves, but if you need your fix of sort of like team-based shipmanship, and you want to fly and wear monocles and cool sort of stuff. Shipmanship is a word now, like overdogging. And download Guns of Icarus Online. I can't recommend it enough.
Very cool.
Yeah. But just saying there, like, messing about, having fun, trying to get that co-op, trying to get the ship just to move. Can you imagine Clay and I being put in charge of a ship?
Yeah,
gonna be
it's
great.
Scary thought. I think we'd be. I saw them drinking.
Guys. What we can do is we can live stream this.
Yeah.
We can Twitch.
There we go.
Like we can get all of
Our
us in
first
a group.
experience, the entire Party Chat podcast
Yep.
crew,
Yeah.
all trying to get the ship out of the docks. I think would be doing well, to be honest with you. So
I'm ready for that. What about you, Clay?
Yeah.
What do you like? Favorite
On
game?
my end, I was very, very excited to see more info about Dead Rising 4.
boy.
And the return of Frank West. So absolutely love those games, and can't wait for that to drop. Isn't that? I think it's later it's December that's going to be rolling out this year.
Yeah, it's Christmas. Christmas
Yeah,
theme.
yeah. So very excited about that. The other, there's two others that I was very excited. I think one is no surprise to a lot of people, which was Battlefield. Just seeing more content from the game, basically confirming that it is not going to play like Star Wars Battlefront was a big plus for me. Visually love Star Wars Battlefront. Gameplay wise, just not a big fan of how that game plays and sort of the lack of battlefieldness in that game. But very excited to see all of the content, especially some of the level of destructibility. Is that a word? Destructibility? That they put into the vehicles now. I mean, I saw someone over on the subreddit posted a GIF of how you can shoot at one of the planes, and it was the wings were starting to break away, and it was supposedly now when you're either flying a plane or driving a tank and you're taking damage, it's going to actually affect how they drive and maneuver, or you can actually shoot off some of the weapons on the vehicles, which is a really, really cool concept that I saw. And then the other one that I saw wasn't actually an Xbox game, and actually I don't know if it's exclusive to PS4, but it was Days Gone. Looked very, very cool. Another one of these zombie games with a huge horde of zombies that would attack you. It just seemed very, very interesting. Can't wait to hear more about that and see what it has to offer. And it just seemed like a very interesting mechanic of these massive swarms of fast-moving zombies that you had to break free from. But,
Okay.
Rhys, how about you, man?
Well, Gears, Gears and Forza Horizon, obviously. Sea of Thieves, obviously. I'm a huge Dead Rising fan. It's well established, and that trailer just had me grinning from ear to ear, especially taking selfies
Right.
with his Windows Phone. High five to my boy, and that was great. Of course, what I really liked is I've been watching this for a couple of years now. Is the indie game We Happy Few? That game looks very, very good. Did you guys like that?
Yeah, it looks a sort of. It's funny to think that. I was just trying to think it's like Clockwork Orange type of.
It was what?
Clockwork Orange?
Oh,
Clockwork
Orange, for anyone that couldn't
You
understand.
non-Scots.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but like that game looks messed up.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it. Hopefully we can badger the devs into either appearing on the podcast or on the subreddit. But that was really exciting for me. Battlefield, basically everything Clay just said times 10. And also not an Xbox game, but the new Zelda looks really
Forgot about that.
really good.
About
It's like The Witcher 3 in a cartoon Zelda world where you can accidentally start a brush fire and burn everything down. It's great. Like it's like take the open world aspect of like The Witcher and then insert like a physics playground sort of sandbox element, and it looks good. And I like Zelda games, but I don't like them that much. But like, I like them, but I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Zelda fan. But this game might actually turn the tide. It looks damn good.
It looks really good. Did they say that? Is that coming to the Wii U or is that coming to the Wii? What's it?
The NX.
NX.
It's a tactic that Nintendo has used a couple of times in the past. It's going to be like the swan song for the Wii U. This will be like the last major release for the Wii U, but it's also going to get an upscaled and improved port as a launch title for the NX. So it's releasing on two platforms at once, and they've done this a couple of times with a couple of different games, especially with the Wii and the Wii U. I can't remember which games it was off the top of my head, but they have done it before.
Very cool.
So for me, Zelda and Battlefield and We Happy Few and Dead Rising and all the things, it was a really good E3. I was very happy with E3 this year.
No love for Watch Dogs?
I did no. I see. Yeah, no. I'm just burnt out on the Ubisoft open world style games. I
thought it looked quite cool, the free running.
Yeah, it looks cool. Of course it does. Like Ubisoft are amazing at making games look cool, but I'm just burned out on them. Like I'm sure it's good.
It was one thing I read somewhere that it was basically saying this is what the first game promised, or what the first game should have been. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm holding my breath. Not holding my breath.
They're good at sequels.
Yeah.
No, but then Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, but then they over-sequel. Assassin's Creed 2.5, Assassin's Creed 2 3/4, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Not Quite 4, Assassin's Creed Not Quite 5. When does it? Assassin's Creed Pirates? Like, come on, guys.
I was not interested.
I'm taking a sabbatical from open world Ubisoft games. I haven't bought the last Assassin's Creed game, and I think I'm going to let that dog lie for probably at least another year before I get really invested into another Ubisoft game. This is just me, of course. Don't take this as like criticism against Ubisoft games. It's just me. I don't think I've had enough.
Well, since we've discussed E3, we're going to stick on it a little bit more. And in the subreddit this week, there was lots of, or on Twitter, in fact, everywhere, there was lots of conflicting information about the Scorpio.
So much.
So it won't do anything for you if you don't have a 4K TV. It will look better. No, it won't. Yes, it will. Has there been a confusing message given about the Scorpio, or is it just people's perception?
I think the issue is that it's so easy to misquote someone these days, and clickbaiting headlines is like one of the most important things that you want to do if you're a poor journalist. And so
I know.
You like for example, Phil is giving like 6 interviews in a day, and he says slightly different things in every interview, and then people take one sentence and sort of blow it out of proportion. But at the same time, like I think what Microsoft needs to do is the same thing happened when the Xbox One came out. There was a lot of conflicting information. What they need to do is very quickly make a nice, straightforward press release, or even like an infographic or something, just to clear the air and make sure everyone knows exactly what they're buying before fear, uncertainty, and doubt sort of start to sweep the internet, as it always does, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was definitely not as clear of a message. But again, I think they're still probably defining some of this. It's not like they have everything set in stone. So I guess that's probably where some of the confusion takes place. But it's, can you only, there's some of the things where it's like, are developers being forced to make a game compatible with 4K? Well, no, that's not the case. If they want to, they can go ahead and do that. If not, they can put the emphasis on power and all that other stuff in another area. It was just a little interesting. All of the confusion. I thought it was a little over exaggerated to some degree from the community and just online in general. It's just sort of, I think, people in some degree jumping on the bandwagon of, here's a semi-hot topic, let's beat it into the ground, or here's Microsoft again making a statement and it's just not a clear one. But then again, I guess it's how much info do you give, how much info do you hold back at this point in time when they're clearly still defining everything?
How much of the info do they even have at this point in time, when you're still building the system?
Yeah, exactly. And they said it was released or announcing it now to allow for developers to plan for it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean also, like Clay mentioned earlier, I think it's actually quite smart that they just decided to squish the rumors.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
They
it
came
exists.
right out with it.
Plus, I tell you what, I am really, really interested to see what a Phil Spencer console looks like.
I imagine it looked quite a bit like an Xbox One.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? The one that he's been around, I know he was around for the Xbox One, but I mean, when he's been in control for, this is going to be the first vision of that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see that.
One of my favorite quotes on the subreddit in the last few weeks, I can't remember who made the quote, so if I'm talking about you, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but all I remember is it said, Phil Spencer wakes up in the morning and pisses excellence.
That's right.
And quite a few Microsoft people were actually retweeting that. For example, Josh Stein found that quite funny. I saw he was tweeting about it. So yeah, it's a great quote. Whoever wrote that, you're amazing.
Right. Oh man.
Right. Well, before we move on to the rest of the news from the subreddit this week, here is this week's interview.
Xbox Snap This Week's Interview.
All right, so we are now joined by Tyler Cushing. Tyler is an industry professional who has worked in many, many different places, including Overdog. He also worked with Turtle Rock for producing Evolve, and he worked for SpaceX. Tyler, say hello.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Tyler. Tyler, tell us about yourself. Give us some background on everything you do. What do you do? What have you been involved with?
So I'm a little sort of an odd duck in the industry. I actually started in Silicon Valley at places like Apple and Google. I transitioned to Southern California, where, as you said, I was at SpaceX. And then I sort of made that big leap into the games industry, as I've always wanted to do since I won my Blockbuster championship for Donkey Kong Country when I was 10 years old.
What?
I won the Blockbuster championship for Donkey Kong Country when I was like 10.
You're going to have to tell us more about that before you go anywhere. That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah. So they did a competition. You can still buy the cartridges online where it was a time trial for Donkey Kong Country, and I won for my county. I ended up then getting a card at Blockbuster where I got 2 free video game rentals every month for 12 months.
Wow.
Oh,
That's pretty cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm a gangster, guys. I'm a gangster. And then after SpaceX, I made the jump into the industry. I joined a smaller studio called Red 5, made the game Firefall, was an MMO online for PC. And then I jumped into game design with Turtle Rock Studios. They made Left 4 Dead. I was working on Evolve, and I did a ton of stuff for that. And most recently, worked with Overdog on the app, the Xbox One app Overdog. And aside from that, these days, I'm working on a new project called Line. We just announced it a couple weeks ago with a couple other developers that we can talk about later on.
Sounds great.
So, Tyler, I wanted to ask you all about E3. What did you think? Did you check it out? What were your thoughts on it? Were any games that stood out to you? As well as, we're very hyped and excited about Xbox announcing Scorpio and wanted to hear what your thoughts were on that as well.
Totally, yes. So I was at E3 last week, and it was great. In all honesty, seemed a little smaller than previous years. But in terms of the game content, I was actually totally surprised that the publishers, as well as the Microsoft's booth itself, Sony's booth, they were jam-packed with a ton of games. My short list in terms of things I'm looking for right at the top is Battlefield 1. I got to play it. It was amazing. I'm very excited for the EA Originals program. They announced Faye, and I assume it's Faye. So I'm really excited to see what they do with that program just for sort of developers like myself. And then the other weird ones, which I think are going to be a little more contentious, are, in terms of my top list, Abzu, by the former art director from that game company that worked on Journey, and then Watch Dogs 2, Halo Wars 2, and Dishonored 2. So that's my short list for the games, but Scorpio, we could talk for days. I'm very excited. We still got to wait, I think, about a year, but come on. Yeah. I want a bigger, beefier Xbox, and if that's what it's going to take, then let's do it.
You mentioned Overdog earlier. You partnered with the subreddit to make community game nights and giveaways. What's it like being the only social app on Xbox One? And how did that development process take place and everything like that? Tell us more.
Yeah, so Overdog, as of right now, as of today, Overdog has sold to another company called Odd Networks. They do lots of game development, and we were actually working with them on the Overdog product itself. So when I joined Overdog last year, we were just sort of building out the product. It came out in April 2015. I joined May 2015. And over the next several months, working directly with Microsoft, we went to the campus, we met with the team, we got to hear about sort of upcoming product initiatives for the platform, some things that are released, some things that are still not released, and to try to figure out the best way to make the sort of social application that Overdog really came to be. The most interesting thing to me, especially working with the subreddit, was just being able to get that quick feedback from the community online. So by the last two milestones that I oversaw, I was actually pretty much just copying and pasting comments directly from the subreddit to the engineers live, just being like, look, I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. This person, that's what we should be doing. I'm dead serious. It was great just to be able to have that sort of quick back and forth with the community, and we got a lot of love, and so much love that there was interest in a purchase, and that's what happened. And hopefully the product will continue. With the most recent Microsoft announcement at E3, I think it's debatable as to what's going to happen with the product, but I hope they can both sort of live in the same sort of ecosystem.
I actually wanted to ask you about that, Tyler. Basically, Microsoft announced that they're bringing essentially every single feature that Overdog has and implementing it on like a system-wide level. Obviously, I want to ask how it makes you feel, and also what lessons did you guys learn from that sort of social media app development that you think Microsoft should definitely benefit from, and not make like what could they do to make sure it's awesome?
Definitely. Yeah, so when I heard the announcements last week at E3, I think the ones that stuck in my mind, there was like a good 2-minute section where I was like, oh my god, that's Overdog. They announced clubs, and in the Overdog app, we have groups, which would be the equivalent. They had something called LFG, which oddly enough was not released in Overdog as of yet, but was going to be a portion literally called LFG. So I was excited to see that on the platform. And then tournaments was also something we were going to try to do in it in terms of attorneys, so people could actually set up their own tournaments, whether they be bracketed or not. So all in all, as a gamer, I'm super excited. I mean, anything that is implemented at the platform level as the sort of first-party level, in my mind, just as a consumer, I think will arguably always be better, just because they have access to fine-tune, change, and update things in second-by-second moment. They can change anything they want. Whereas as a third party, like Overdog, you still need to go through your own cert with that company. You need to follow these guidelines, things like that. So as a gamer, I'm very excited. As sort of a former overdogger, I'm a little, torn.
Sorry, that word.
No, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I literally just coined that, so hopefully that'll stick around.
I don't know if you want that to stick.
I don't know. It sounds odd. Let's keep it.
Okay.
But yeah. So it's exciting as a man. You're really going for it. It's exciting.
That word may mean something different in Europe.
It could be. I mean, if we want to look on Urban Dictionary, I assume we're going to find something very fastidious.
Yeah.
No, we're continue
totally,
the interview. I'm just going to turn my mic off.
No. I'm totally fine with being connected to oddly weird and creepy things. But yeah, so as a gamer on the platform, I'm very excited, and it'll be cool to see where things go in terms of, I think, what some of the best practices or lessons they could take, hopefully, from what we learned in Overdog. We watched the PlayStation 4 rollout of their sort of quote-unquote groups, and to me, that was just chaos. And that was the equivalent to when Call of Duty Elite tried to do the same thing, Rockstar Social Club did the same thing. The idea is not necessarily new, but the implementation, hopefully, is going to be refined in that the moment you open up the floodgates and allow anyone to make a group, it's going to be utter chaos. Everyone is going to take gaming, Xbox One, like all those big keywords like you see on Twitter and rushes for URLs. So hopefully they can go somewhat of the route, or maybe split it up like we did at Overdog, where they can curate some of the larger groups. So say make an actual quote-unquote official group for certain games like Gears of War and Halo, so that the entire community is not then segmented up into like all these smaller portions. That's the biggest thing for me, just because I think the community needs to stay together. Because once you start segmenting it up, then you just kind of lose a ton of communication. It would be like having, 36 different Xbox One subreddits for all these little minutia-based things versus just one where everyone can come together.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was actually about to say that's exactly the same discussion we have all the time on the mod team about making subreddits, but you went all the way and actually said that anyway. So,
Tyler, I was going to say I was actually a big fan of the Overdog app on Xbox One and used it a good number of times, and I think one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about it was that it was just so simple to use and easily connect up with somebody. Not all of my friends like to play the same games I'm playing, or maybe they're like right now they're on a big Overwatch kick, and I didn't pick up Overwatch, so I need someone to play with, and it was just a great way to quickly find somebody to partner up with. 99% of the time, they always had a mic, which was great. And it was just sort of you were going into a game with someone, and half the time, it might be someone that has very similar interests to you. So it wasn't just strictly about the game. You could also find people that were, had similar interests, which I thought was...
I never knew you were a overdogger, Clay.
Yeah. I'm afraid to go on Urban Dictionary and look up what this is.
Just Clay, just make sure you're an overdogger and not an underdogger.
There you go.
Okay, moving forward.
No. I mean, I like it. Let's keep it. I'm gonna change my Twitter account name to Tyler, and then in quotes Overdogger Cushing. And, we'll see what new followers I get from that one.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, so the biggest sort of geeky aspect. I mean, I could go on a day sort of about it. So when I was at Google, I worked with a huge amount of data, as you can just guesstimate. having access to that search engine, like there were no strings attached, so I could do crazy things, and that was almost a decade ago. So when I got access to sort of the Overdog data set, and it is really everything that someone likes, all the games they play, their achievement score, whether they're online or not, all these different sort of traits that the Xbox Live platform sort of knows at any given moment, I was the one tweaking all of that. So like I would actually be able to get to make those rule sets of like, well, let's make sure they at least match on one movie or music title, at least 2 games. Let's make the threshold for how often or how many achievements they have in something larger or smaller. So yeah, like once you have all that data, that was kind of the geeky fun part of it, is trying to figure out how to match the best people together at any given moment. The hardest part, which we somewhat solved by by December of 2015, was using the online status as a requirement to then be shown in the queue. And the hard part about that, most people are like, oh yeah, well it should be fine, like just show the online people. Here's the thing, when you have a database, say, of hundreds of thousands of people, you either need to be Microsoft and know if they're online at that moment every given second to make that correct, or if you're a third party, that means you have to query their servers every second for hundreds of thousands of sort of user IDs if you really want to be up to date. So that was a technical hurdle that I don't think we ever really solved. But again, Microsoft is already doing this. They have the data. They're going to do it, the best and simplest because it's their data set.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they roll this out on their own, and I want to say sort of what they stole from Overdog.
Horror.
Whoa. Goodness.
Tyler, I did want to sort of change the subject there. You had mentioned previously your involvement with Turtle Rock and Evolve. So I'm wondering, can you explain a little bit about what you did on that project?
Yeah, so I was hired, technically I think the title I was given when I was hired was a community designer. And when I interviewed there, I asked him, I was like, so what is a community designer in your mind? And sort of the response was kind of, half serious, half not. Was like, well, really not too sure. We just know that we want our game to be social. And this was sort of earlier in development too. So we know this game needs to be social. There's probably going to be an esports element. We're going to have online content. And we want to make sure we have someone really thinking about the community all day, every day, and help the design through that manner. So that's what I was hired for, kind of out of the blue. Like I didn't have a background in game design or production, and oddly enough, I pretty much got the role based upon my cover letter and my interview, just because I had played so many games. For the record, I have over 1,000 games on Steam. I think 300 Xbox 360 games, and I think about 80-ish maybe now Xbox One games. So I have, like, I am a gamer. Like, that is what I do. That is what I enjoy. Don't even get me started on my mobile apps. Oh, my goodness. So I got in there, and what I got to work on was kind of everything. What I worked on is pretty public in terms of, like, my LinkedIn and stuff, but I oversaw the mobile game itself. I did all the achievements in the game, created an esports game mode, which I don't think really saw the light of day. Observer mode, some solo content. I created the hot swap mechanic, which was probably the most consumer-facing thing, where if you played a single-player match, you could literally jump between the hunters. So I designed that aspect. Before that, there was no way to jump between them. And then just geekier things like all the controls, the UI with the UI UX lead, and localization, a bunch of other geeky things.
I need to ask you, what's it like developing a control set for a game? Like, how do you go about figuring that out?
Oh my goodness. So it's wild. It's very interesting because when you work with a dev team, if it was just you by yourself, do whatever you want, right? Everything is perfect. But then every time you add one person to it, there's always comments and opinions, right? That's just the reality of working with anyone. But even crazier in game development is that you then have opinions from people that pretty much only play games on PC or PS4 or handheld devices or an Xbox. So we started to get these just different data sets of what people thought were the correct control schemes, but they all needed to sort of universally make sense. So the thing I ran up against early on was that the people on the keyboard, they were fine with having like a dozen key inputs, but there just weren't enough buttons on a controller to do all those key inputs. So we literally had to take out some content just because there weren't enough sort of the interface on the controller. And the most specific one is that we had an actual jump button for the monsters, as well as then there's special mechanic. So like Wraith could teleport, Goliath could leap. I actually just deleted the jump button altogether. Just because there wasn't, it didn't make sense for the controller. So there was a lot of odd things too. Like we needed to design the control set, I think, for the PS4. So then at that time, I think it had to work. Was it the PSP? Like you had to do remote play. So there had to be a control scheme for remote play that made sense. The UI sort of had to change. There's all these just weird intricacies that you honestly just kind of have to dive into, test out. The nice thing is to rearrange and retest things. Generally at a company, it's just like an XML file. You go in and you change jump from the A button to the B button, and then you hit start again, and it's totally changed. So it's once you start diving into it, it's really quick to mess around with, but it does just take you really just got to mess around. The biggest thing for me, just because I play so many games, is that I literally just played a bunch of third-person and first-person games to try to figure out what felt like the best control scheme to then integrate into the third-person and sort of first-person play mechanics of monsters versus hunters. So that's the way I took it. I don't think that's necessarily what everyone does, but start where everyone else has already sort of finished off.
Yeah, I kind of asked then, so the code and everything's there, the monster can actually still jump. There's just no way to make the monster jump. Is that right?
In terms of the code side, yes. Yeah, I mean, if you hacked the PC version and you found probably the input to make them jump, it's probably still in there. Maybe not for all the monsters, because after you go gold, the 2 DLC monsters probably just don't have that ability in there. But yeah, if you could somehow hack it, you could probably make Goliath do this little sort of hop instead of the super cool leap that his jump normally does now. So yeah, generally the code base will keep some older code in there just because it's unless it messes things up, there's no reason to really go in there and start deleting things just in case it adversely affects something else.
No, just interested just to see the process behind it, essentially.
And Tyler, you mentioned that you also came up with the achievements for that. What's involved? I mean, I'm obsessed. I'm one of these people that loves achievements, so I want to know a little bit about that process of coming up with what those are and how they tie them into the game.
Totally. So, yeah, in the end, and I'm actually looking at achievements now just to remind me of some of the names I gave them. In the end, 95% of these are mine, like straight up mine. And in the end, I gave the list to the team. You have to give. It's funny when you make a list of achievements, you have to actually get them okayed by legal for the actual names. And if you do look at my achievement list, I'm very proud of some of these names. If you know the references to them, but I kind of I made references to older games. So there's a couple there that I referenced to Left 4 Dead. There's a couple that are references to other games I thought in the same vein, even weirder ones like Brink. There is a reference in the achievement there. A lot of sci-fi movies, but realistically, in terms of just designing an achievement, you just want to cover the whole gamut of the game. So each character type or game mode, kind of just. I mean, when you develop a game, you can kind of guesstimate how people are going to play it. And you want to reward all those different types of players, not just the hardcore or the casual, but kind of all those different types. And you just kind of start making them, and really it's just a data set that an engineer sort of queues up. So every time you get a headshot, it just adds 1 to the counter, and once you hit 100, the achievement goes off. So yeah, I mean it's fun. I think my favorites were I got to name one. I think these are the ones that may have gotten through legal. I named one Left 4 Dead. I named one Counter-Strike. I named one Collect Them All. That may be a reference to a very famous game. And what else? I think my favorite was Vegan Police. That's a deep cut.
Do you know what I always think is quite lazy when you sometimes see an achievement is putting the last line said as the achievement title? So if a character says something, it comes up with that. I prefer your method of or maybe not so obscure references to pop culture and things like that. It always makes it look a little bit better than just using something really simple, like completed chapter 1 or, as I said, the last line of dialogue.
Yeah, and I think those may work for more single player content, just because I think there's a sort of a pre and post storytelling to some of the single player achievements I've seen, like in Call of Duty or Battlefield, where literally the quote, if you read the achievement list before the game comes out, because most are released before the game comes out these days, you almost have an anticipation as to what that's going to be. Like if the quote was like, and now it's time, you're like, oh my goodness, it's time for what? So I think there's some fun. I think there's some fun there, but I do tend to side with you on this, where I'd rather have just more weird titled achievements so people can't really guess what it is. And if they do know what it's in reference to, it's a little more fun. Like Equal Opportunity Hunters is actually a reference I believe I made to Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where they had an achievement where if you made a set of 4 superheroes, 2 men, 2 women, then I think you got the Equal Opportunity achievement. So yeah, fun stuff like that.
Tyler, enough about these video games. Video games suck. Tell me about spaceships. I need to know about SpaceX. Like what's it like at SpaceX, and what is Elon Musk like? What does he smell like? I need to know everything.
All the things. So yeah, I haven't been in Elon's sort of periphery for several years now, but when I was at SpaceX, I was the closest cubicle to him. So I was like 20 feet away from him every day. And I'll get it out of the way. Elon is awesome. Elon is,
Okay,
good. Elon, it's been very interesting not being internal to the company and now just seeing them sort of as a public persona. But he was great. Like he was very, and this is my personal opinion, but I feel like he was very empathetic with everyone that worked there. He would love to talk to people about their family and their kids. He would bring his kids for tours with like their school to teach them things. And he did a lot of work. He wasn't the head of the studio just in name. He would be there almost every day, getting stuff done. And I think that shows in that now SpaceX is arguably one of the most innovative companies in aerospace today. Sending up, both Dragon and the Grasshopper, or I guess that's the Grasshopper program is now public, where the rockets are sort of re-landing, and Falcon 9s, and going to Mars is still the goal. And if anyone thinks that's a joke, well, you don't know Elon that well. That is not a joke. So it's exciting. It's been exciting to see what SpaceX is evolving into, and just all the success that the team members I know are still having there.
Now, what was it actually like hiring real rocket scientists?
Oh, yeah, it was a little weird, right? Like I could tell people, I was like, yeah, I help find and hire rocket scientists, and it just sounds like a joke. But oddly enough, what SpaceX was trying to do was trying to integrate sort of new blood into the industry. So a couple of my projects was actually trying to find, my term, gearheads, like people that actually worked on supercars and like F1 cars, and to bring them into the company because they, the team kind of just wanted people that liked fast things, super powerful, crazy things. Because if you like a super fast car and you're like, hey, do you want to make a super fast rocket? And they're like, oh my, yeah, of course. So it was interesting to see merging sort of mechanical gearhead car type people and then also sort of rocket scientists, because you just got, you got amazing things out of it, right? You got the technical aspects of both sides, but then you also just got just super cool machinery that looks amazing. And a lot of the SpaceX team that have left in the last couple of years are still together, though. They're working on a Hyperloop. So they're still integrating, the rocket science with the car mechanics, and they're going to go a whole new path with that.
That's it blows my mind just thinking about some of that stuff and the processes that might be involved with getting that, any of that off the ground. And no pun intended there. Have you seen any of the launches firsthand while you were working there?
So I worked in the headquarters in Southern California, and at that time, the Falcon 9s, they were taking off in Cape Canaveral in Florida. So most of the team and sort of our base of operations for the actual Dragon and rockets was still in Southern California as well. So most of the team was in Southern California. We all watched the launches. So I would wake up here in Orange County at, I think 4 a.m, and I'd drive up to LA, and there would be hundreds of other employees there because we're all waiting to watch the live launch of the Falcon 9. So I watched several launches that all went extremely well. Seeing the first Dragon go around the planet was mind-blowing, and then less than a week later to then see that same exact spacecraft on the floor again, with the bottom of it sort of burned from the atmosphere, and it was totally insane. Like, you felt like, because you didn't physically see it in person, you almost felt like everything was fake, like it was a set of a movie. You're like, oh yeah, sure, that went in low Earth orbit and then came back and we got it from the ocean. But it was it was absolutely amazing. Rockets are being built on the floor, and these things are going out, and now they're going to the International Space Station. It's just so wild to think about. A private company 10 years ago no one even knew is now doing something that took other companies 60 years.
Now, there is a question that we ask all of our guests. I'm not sure if Rhys has briefed you about this before you came on. I'm pretty sure you can answer. You're a regular listener?
Oh, I'm a regular listener, so I'm ready for this.
Can I guess it's not going to be Donkey Kong?
Well, that was going to be a top choice, just because I have such a love-hate relationship with him. But no, feel free to ask your question, just in case this is the first time someone is listening. Yeah.
So, for our first-time listeners, which classic video game character can you knock out with one punch?
All right, I took a lot of time thinking about this. I went through my list, and then I was thinking, maybe I'm going to do Shang Tsung from the original Mortal Kombat, because he's like a really old guy in that, but I was like, I don't know, he still has magical powers. I was then going to go with Mega Man, because he's like a 10-year-old boy. I think I could take out a 10-year-old boy. But then
Punching
I
children, classy.
Yeah. Hey, but here's the thing. He's, like an android. And then I realized he's made out of titanium. I'd probably break my hand. So I kept it in Mega Man world, and I'm going all in on Dr. Wily.
Good answer. Good answer.
The mustache.
Right? If I was there in Mega Man, the first one, and just cold cocked him, and he's out, we would have arrested him, and then there wouldn't have been 45 other Mega Man games, and everything would have been solved.
Hindsight.
That's right.
So, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I hope you had a good time. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. You guys are awesome. I love the podcast.
Absolutely great to hear. So, we loved having you here, and we hope to have you back at some point in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hopefully I'll see you guys online and on the subreddit.
Yes, and before you go, where can we find you if anyone needs to talk to you?
Twitter is where all the cool kids go, supposedly, these days. So I'm just at Tyler Cushing, TYLER CUSHING. That is my handle there. And then the new game I'm working on with some other team members is Line the Game. And the handle for that on Twitter is LINETHEGAME.
Actually, okay. Tyler, before we officially let you go, can I take 2 more seconds and ask you just to tell us a little bit about the new game that you're working on?
Sure. We haven't actually announced anything, but I will give you secret information first, I suppose. We were referenced a couple of weeks ago, both on Kotaku and on a Forbes article. But the team, as of right now, we were publicly letting people know it is myself, Dave Gibson, who is an animator on Overwatch, and then Jamie Kenoshin. She's an artist out of Texas, and she does amazing work. There are other team members. We just haven't announced them publicly yet, but I will just let you know they're all super awesome. And what we're working on is the game is called Line. We've released 2, maybe 3 pieces of concept if you're really geeky and can find the third one. And as of right now, we're saying it is a single-player game set on an island, and it's going to be sort of in the vein, I will say, because we haven't really cleared anything as a group as to what we want to say, I'll say it's in the vein of Journey, Ocarina of Time, with a lot of movement mechanics. So it's going to be a fun world to explore, a lot of traversal, a lot of movement, and hopefully it's going to be visually something that you really haven't seen before. And we're playing with engines right now in terms of see which one can actually get us the look that we're going to need, because it's going to look, I think, quite different than what people are used to.
Great.
Fantastic.
It looks the concept art that you guys have up looks beautiful. Looks really, really cool. So can't wait to hear more about it in the future.
I'm glad you like it. Jamie will love to hear that because that's her work. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk more about it, and hopefully we'll get to show some more stuff through development. And we want to be an open development process. So hopefully, I think we're gonna air all the dirty laundry as much as possible, because I think there's a lot of gamers that really kind of want to understand more how a game is made, and if we get that opportunity, we might as well do it.
Yeah. But yeah. So thanks again, and thanks for that extra little hidden bit of secret info. And yeah, bye, Tyler.
All right, have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.
You're listening to Xbox One Party Chat Podcast.
So thanks, Tyler, for that amazing interview. He really is Mini Braben, isn't he?
Mini Braben.
Mini Braben. I like that.
It was definitely interesting. Like I think one of the best things about the Braben interview was that he had so many interesting things to talk about, mostly about space, I guess. But like from a different perspective than like a games developer. He had like all kinds of interesting stuff to talk about. So I think that's what made it really interesting.
So the story that I'm going to bring to the table this week is from user cutie_panther, and it's all about Mighty Number 9. Now, the link is to an IGN review.
Right.
And it's a 5.9 out of 10.
Yep.
So this is a very well-known developer. It literally raised millions in Kickstarter and is described as the spiritual successor to Mega Man. Is that a 5.9 to you?
That's an ouch. And
Right.
Just before, when we were talking with Tyler, just conversationally before we began the interview, I noticed that circulating on Twitter, the official Sonic Twitter handle is a very vicious smackdown of the Mighty Number 9 team. It was quite savage. If anyone's interested in looking that up, it's doing very poorly in reviews. Jim Sterling ravaged the game and gave it a 4 out of 10, I think, and everyone's just tearing it to pieces. I don't think I've seen a single person give it higher than a 6.
It's really unfortunate. I had really high hopes for that game as a big fan of Mega Man, like so many people growing up, and I think that's obviously why the Kickstarter did so well, and just so many people expecting this to be great and play just like Mega Man, and it sounds like it's not exactly everyone's cup of tea at this point.
This it illustrates a really ugly side to the whole Kickstarter thing. Like, for example, I think Kickstarter can be amazing because without Kickstarter, we would not have gotten Elite Dangerous, which is one of my favorite games ever. We would not have gotten Wasteland 2. Very soon we'll have the new Torment game, Tides of Numenera, and I'm super excited for that. And if that sucks, I think I'll go and hang myself. But but then you get stuff like this. Then you get stuff like all the stuff that happened with Double Fine, and it's just millions of dollars just evaporating into piss, basically. Like it's what do you guys think about when that happens?
Millions, like you're not investing your money for them to go make. Let me just start this again. Actually, like there is no guarantee when you invest in Kickstarter they're going to give you a good game, right? No, it's no in no way do I think it was their intention to make a bad game.
I don't think anyone wants to make a bad game.
But there's to compare it to be bad for Kickstarter or put down in Kickstarter, I don't really think is fair. Yes, I think more people are just disappointed.
Yeah, well,
with this game,
I didn't mean to say that like Kickstarter itself is bad. That's why I started listing successes of Kickstarter. It's like it's more like a don't you hate when this happens? Like not even the. I think the takeaway is not even the best of intentions can stop a crap game from being crap.
Yeah, but until I get my hands on it, I cannot confirm it's crap. But and I will try and play it. But it. It's just such a shame because I think everyone wanted this to be the game, to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man, for it to really hit home, get good scores, sell well, so we can see more games in that genre.
Yeah.
But is it maybe just time's moved on?
I don't know. I mean, I think the test of this will be the spiritual successor to Castlevania. If that is a flop, then I think this genre will pass quietly into the
Guacamole.
Wait, what?
Guacamole. That's it.
What?
Guacamole.
Guacamole. It's guacamole.
I'll say it the way I want to say it.
It's a play on guacamole. Guacamole.
Ross, say that again. Right.
Guacamole.
Oh, I
literally had no idea what you were saying. It's like, what is he saying?
So, Clay, what are you bringing to the table this week?
Podcasting, guys. Serious business.
Oh, my goodness. This story comes directly from our own Falcon Box, who was posting that I guess it's sort of been announced or leaked or let known that Dead Rising 4 is a 1-year timed exclusive on the Xbox One. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts on third-party exclusives, this whole idea of should these things even be taking place in this day and age? We've got things like Tomb Raider on the Xbox One, as well as over on the PS4 side, Street Fighter. Please bring Street Fighter back over to Xbox One. I miss you, Street Fighter. I miss you. So wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it.
I'll jump in first because I have no problem actually with like if it's a game, like a whole game, and they want to get like a 1-year timed exclusive, I actually think that's okay. I don't like it, but it's better than nothing. It's better than Street Fighter being, or completely. For example, everyone's upset at the moment about Spider-Man being like a third. I don't like the idea of buying a third-party game. Like, if you develop your own game in-house, then obviously it's yours. But this whole sort of third-party wars that's going on right now, I'm not a fan. And I mean, if the game itself is a 1-year timed exclusive, at least you get to play it eventually when it comes out the next year. The game itself does not get any worse. In fact, it probably gets a lot better after a year, after the patches and the DLC and whatever else. But if it's something like Destiny, where it's like DLC or that sort of stuff is gated for a year, that sucks.
Yeah, that would be really bad if it was DLC that was gated like that. I mean, they already have the timed exclusives where you get it for a month in advance of the PS4 or vice versa. Man, that would really, really not be cool. But I just thought it was interesting that it's like, all right, so this is Dead Rising, which is produced by Capcom, Street Fighter, which is also produced by Capcom, and two different titles, completely different titles, but from the same publisher, developer, that are going to, separately to the other consoles. I just thought that was an interesting piece, how that happened. You'd figure
Insomniac
they'd
does the
align
same.
one.
Sorry, I just talked over everybody, but Insomniac does the same.
Yeah.
Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox, Ratchet and Clank on the PS4.
Yeah, it's true.
But you mentioned something earlier. You mentioned the game that in the PS4, the name escapes me, the mass zombie killing.
Yeah, Days Gone.
So you would think that maybe they would Sony would be putting their focus on that as a zombie killing game.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And allow Dead Rising. Then when that Dead Rising game arrives next year, that's already out the way.
Yeah, like they did with Uncharted and Tomb Raider.
Yeah, basically like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. But the issue is I've now played Tomb Raider and Uncharted, okay? Now, I still think the original Tomb Raider game beats them all. That's just my own personal opinion.
Wait, stop. You mean like 1996 Tomb Raider?
No, the reboot Tomb Raider. Okay. I thought that was a fantastic piece of work. Right?
I loved it too.
Yeah. But I'm not going to lie, I preferred Uncharted to the last Tomb Raider.
Well, that's a fairly common sentiment, I think. Actually,
those are amazing.
So when
games.
this arrives in PS4, the comparison is just going to be there immediately because they've already played Uncharted 4.
I didn't think of that.
You know, so they're going to take, which was in its own right, the Tomb Raider sequel was an amazing game. No, absolutely brilliant fun, and all the PS4 users are just going to consistently compare it to the Uncharted game that they played in the same year.
I honestly don't think it's unfair. I honestly don't think it is fair to compare other developers to Naughty Dog.
Yeah, I know, but it's a natural mindset for people.
It's just not fair. It's mean. But Naughty Dog are just too good at what they do.
Isn't this exactly what was... So this is a 1 year timed exclusive. I was thinking of Titanfall, but Titanfall was the first was exclusive to Xbox. Now it's coming. Titanfall 2 is coming to both. The other title that was coming to my mind was Mass Effect. Wasn't that originally Xbox? And then was it a timed exclusive for 2 and 3? I just remember those coming out a lot later on the PS3, and the sales not being anywhere near as good as they were on the 360. And it's just kind of like I get it, but I don't understand from a business standpoint. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would be that great of a deal. I don't know. I don't know what the financials are involved with it. But
to answer your question, the first Mass Effect was exclusive, and then the sequels were made. I think, and also BioShock was the same. And I think a couple of other games early in the 360's life cycle. Actually, in many ways, Microsoft's getting a bit of a taste of its own medicine.
Right. Yeah. But it's still an interesting thing.
I hate it. I want to play all the games all the time. I don't like when business gets in between me and my games. Just personally. Just give it to me. Do you not like money?
Agreed. I mean,
if I'm sure it's that simple. Like, guys, I know business. Just ask me. I'll tell you. So.
Right, so guys, we've reached the end of another podcast, but I've got one last question to ask you all.
Go ahead.
You can play any of the games that were announced at E3 right now for the next hour. What would it be?
For only an hour?
Just for the next hour, that's it.
Dead Rising.
Clay?
Battlefield.
By yourself, though, it's not going to be much fun.
Damn it. Probably Dead Rising as well.
I think Dead Rising has the most bang for your buck if you've just got 1 hour to play around in. 1 hour, put on some crazy clothes, wear some lingerie, pick up a random piece of furniture and crush some zombie heads with it.
That's exactly right.
Well, for me, it's going to be
Forza.
Yes.
It's going to be Death Stranding. Yeah. What was that trailer? What the hell, Kojima? What
was it? Sorry, I think I typed that wrong. It's Death Standing, right? Not
no,
Stranding?
it's Stranding. It's Stranding.
It is Stranding? Wait,
yeah.
What do you call it? Stranding?
Yeah, weirdest title and even weirdest trailer. What on earth was that?
He's got Norman Reedus back in there though, so that's good.
Yeah. So for my pick, it would be Gears 4. Gears 4.
Hey, Ross.
For my pick, it would be Gears 4. And leaving Kojima behind, we'll draw this podcast episode to a close. So thanks for joining me, Rhys.
Not a problem. Can I say it this week? Can I? I haven't done it before.
Yes, you can. And thanks to you, Clay.
Woohoo! Thank you.
All right. I'm ready. You ready? Hey, Cortana. Xbox, turn off.
You're listening to Xbox One Party Chat Podcast, the official podcast of the Xbox One subreddit.
Let's do this.
Right, okay. Well, the first story that I'm going to bring to the table for you is a table. It's a table? Oh, God. Oh.
One take.
Roll
Keep
with
it
it.
Keep rolling.